What's going on, Bucks and Dolls? This is Taiki and welcome to ShishiGoat. I am filming outside today because it's very nice weather and it took me about 20 minutes to find a great spot to film where nobody passes through. So here, let me show you my view. So there's a boat there and the river is filthy. I can't say it's clean, but I gotta say I found a very quiet spot because I'm very shy and this park has been very unfriendly to introverted people. So I'm very tired, so I'm just gonna have a lunch. This is what I have in. I got it from 7-Eleven. Let's see. Says French toast. And if you're wondering how to distinguish if the food is vegan friendly or vegetarian friendly, you just look in the back blue sections. It says, can you see? I don't think you can see it. Anyway, I'm just gonna put captions there so you'll see those letters to distinguish if it's vegan or vegetarian friendly or not. And it's very rare to see products that don't contain milk or eggs, unfortunately. So that's one reason that I'm not vegan. Still, I want to be vegan in the future, but it's very hard, especially in Osaka, which is where I'm standing. Anyway. And I'm also having soy joy, which is a soy bar. Basically, but this still where I can't focus it for some reason. I'm just gonna put caption there, okay, again, and it still uses eggs and milk, so this is not really vegan friendly either, but it's just vegetarian friendly. I'm trying to avoid consuming meat as much as possible, and the McDonald's in Japan don't have vegetarian or vegan options either, which sucks. So only I can eat is just French fries and apple pie and other stuff. Sorry, I'm just gonna dive into the point. Deforestation in progress. Yeah, I mean, they're trying to build something, I think. So my topic today is that how I learned English in just 1 year abroad in Canada. So I lived in Canada for 1 year when I was in high school. In the freshman high school, I just went to Canada just right after graduating from middle school, and the reason why I went there was because I wanted to learn English badly, very badly. Normally, people would study abroad for the first time in university. I just went to study abroad. Just begged my parents to make me able to study abroad. So I was that crazy about going studying abroad. That's very, very rare. I mean, ask anyone, any Japanese people around you, and if they study abroad, ask them when. They'll mostly say, oh, during university year, or my whole family immigrated to other country, that country. But I think it's pretty rare to see that someone who just study abroad independently on their own in such early ages. Just try asking them. I have many friends that have studied abroad for 1 year, but many people tell me that I am better than them. I'm not really trying to be cocky here, but what I did there was try speaking in English as much as possible. I know it does sound simple, but this is very important. So especially when you're speaking your language, your own language in the country, you're in your host country that you to study abroad in, you're not learning anything. because you're just tasting the same flavor. If you speak your own language in another country for the purpose of studying abroad, what you're basically doing there is just going to another ice cream truck and buy the same flavor that you always eat. I mean, what's the point going to the new ice cream trailer, right? Truck, I mean. Right? There should be a reason that you chose to go to that another ice cream truck. If you've been tasting vanilla, it's time for you to taste chocolate. That's the point here. And you never know what it tastes like. You never know, for example, if you're studying Japanese, let's say, and if you come to Japan and you don't speak English there, you don't know what it's like to speak Japanese. Learning language is not just learning that, but also learning what like a cultural background in that language has. So that's what I did for the most of the time. I even talked to myself in English when I was in Canada, which helped me a lot. So basically, if you do speak to yourself in the target language, you get familiar with it, because it's like you're living with it, right? If you only speak the target language in the language school, the target language is going to be a subject, always be a subject that you learn at school, which is not what you want, right? You want that to be your second language, which means that you have to remember that language in daily lives as well, outside of class. And also what it helped me was that, well, this is my personality thing, but I didn't want to be labeled as another Japanese. I saw a lot of Asian people grouping together, like other like, for example, Japanese people are with Japanese people, Chinese people are with Chinese people, and Korean people are like with Korean people. I feel like they're all the same, so I didn't want to be like them. I wanted to be different. That's something I always wanted to do. Just like I'm doing YouTube here. YouTube is not something that normal people would do, right? They would just get a job after graduating university. They get a job, pay the bills, right? That's not the life I want. I want to be a full-time YouTuber. So that's why I started YouTube, which would divide me and from other people, hopefully. So don't be afraid to be different. That's my advice. If you want to acquire that language and other things in general too. If you want to have an idea, like a new idea of something that you want to, so let's say you want to propose a new project in your company, but if you stay within the group that you always hang out, nothing's going to change. Nothing's going to, come out. To be creative, you just have to be alone or dive into another different environment. It's okay to be alone for some time, but not for the long term. I used to do that because I didn't want to be labeled as Japanese, and so I just chose to be alone, which is not so common in Japanese. So that's why I thought it was cool to be alone. But in the end, it wasn't helping me with anything. My point is, sometimes don't be afraid to be alone. Don't be afraid to go onto the path that is less explored, if that makes sense. So you might ask, do you have to study abroad? But I can't afford to study abroad. It's okay. You can still learn that language, because some people, like my friend, he's been like in Australia just once, like for 2 weeks, for like just it was just like a school trip, and he speaks like native. You have no idea. He's amazing. So what he's been doing, I asked him how he learned English. I asked him that, and he responded with, I just hang out with non-Japanese a lot. So he likes to go into the Irish pubs, which are many, some in Japan, and he make it a rule to go to the Irish pubs whenever he feels like it, and he can communicate there very, very well, and he speaks very, very fluently. I look up to him for that. So just choose the environment you're in, but it's easier to get better at that language if you study abroad, but you still can create your own environment by interacting with people and just staying focused on that language all the time. I gotta interview him and ask him in details that how he learned English without studying abroad. So I'm not doing this as much as I used to, but I used to study French a little by interacting with people and I will put a video up here, me speaking French. And I never went to France or Canada or African countries. I just interacted with French people that live in Japan or visiting Japan. That is like one example of changing your environment, and it's gonna help you. I promise you, it's gonna help you improve a lot. I am assuming that you're trying to learn Japanese since you're in my channel. Find some community where there are Japanese people there. Speak to them in Japanese as possible. It's okay to make mistakes. Mistakes are stepping stones to success. Everyone makes a mistake, and without mistakes, you never know what is wrong with your sentences. Just like when you go to the hospital, if you don't tell your symptoms, doctors will never know what is wrong with you. Another piece of advice, it's very important if you learn that pronunciation, because pronunciation is like, if you don't understand what I'm saying, if I talk with too much accent, you don't know what I'm talking about. You never know, you never learn, or you never be able to communicate with me. So pronunciation is one thing, and how I learned pronunciation is watching movies, singing songs. I talked about this before, I think in the last video, but I used to act too. I sing in English, and I acted in English. This is one funny story. I applied for an audition for a theater in Japan, and while everybody else is acting in Japanese, I acted in English, and the director really admired that, and it was very funny. It was a very great experience. So just those are like my recommendations. Find movies, dramas as well, dramas too, songs, and just mimic those. So mimic the song, just sing and act it out. So to conclude, make your study abroad experience the best experience ever and the most meaningful experience ever. Don't stay in your community, in your language. Expand your comfort zone. That's what everybody says, and I think it's true. Change the environment, use that target language as much as possible. It's that simple. Try to speak, try to speak, try to speak, try to speak. Forget about writing, forget about reading, just try to speak, 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 speak. That's how we learned our language too. I started learning Japanese when I was like baby, by speaking, you know? I didn't just, born out of my mother and reading a textbooks. That's not what I did. I'm pretty sure you didn't do that either. You just said something like, I want that, I want that, I want that, I think it's good. Those kind of things, right? It's the same thing when you're adult. Try to speak, try to speak, try to speak. When you're there, try to speak, try to speak, try to speak, try to speak, and you get familiar with that language. And once you're comfortable, you can move on to the next phase, which is reading, writing, and some literature stuff. Okay? I teach Japanese at preply.com. I include a link in the description below. If you want to learn Japanese with me, you're more than welcome to. And that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching, and if you liked it, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to join the herd and hit that bell to stay tuned. And I will see you in the next one. Until next time.